Good morning. Hope that things are going well for you. I would like to share an experience that I had and just some more information. So, I am dating, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. But I met someone, right? I spoke to him. We're both Christian. We're both around the same age group. Um, and we exchanged numbers. So we got to talking. And we start talking about, of course, the Bible. I explained to him my finding that Earth was given to humans for free, and that the reason why things are so corrupt and wrong is because we're not supposed to be working like this. Employment, money, social status, materialism, capitalism, these are all barriers and law. These are all barriers in between humans and the natural resource. Even earning money is a barrier in between the resource because if you were to get money, right, and let's say money had no value, you just had money and it didn't have a meaning behind it, well, that money wouldn't be very valuable anymore because what the money is for is to get resources that are on earth. So if we were able to just cut the middleman out, cut out employment, cut out money, if we were able to cut these things out and just live off the land like the way we see Moses and the Israelites, and if that's how we were living, things would be different because that is the way God intended. We assume that men are supposed to be the providers because they were the first, what am I trying to say? The first time that God manifested, because he made man in his image and woman was made for man. So even though woman has all this power, yes, we're powerful enough to draw men away from God, blah, 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 but man was the first creation that God made, and God made him in his image. So the man is extremely important. And he also wasn't here to provide. He was not, or not to provide in that way. He wasn't supposed to be working all these hours trying to provide a lifestyle that's unrealistic and unattainable in a society that's unsustainable. This country, United States, has been in debt since its inception. How dare you have a credit score when more than 100 years, America has never paid off its debt completely? How dare you have a credit score? I exchange my number with this man. We get to talking. I tell him this story about how Earth was given to us for free, how we have to work to live now. Oh, I don't write everything down because I think I'm better than you. I don't, and I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm not, but I've just lived a life where I've endured so much judgment, harsh treatment, and it's like I'll know I have a good idea. I will get copied for my ideas, even though I'll get ignored by the same people who copy me. I've just gone through a lot being the type of person that I am, and I just refuse to let anything taint who I am. I like to write. That is what I like to do. I like to write more than I like to do anything else. But writing came from reading. And as a female, when you start to read and you start to learn what it means to be a woman, you learn that makeup, beauty, your appearance, you learn how important that is in life and how it's almost an assessment of your total value. If you ever watched the movie Matilda, she was a very smart and powerful young girl. The first thing she learned how to do was how to dress herself, how to make herself look good, how to develop a style. Because when you read a lot and you learn, you learn. These women that you see that are celebrities are not stupid. They're not stupid. They just decide that if they play into being dumb, they can get a lot further because they don't have to worry with having to keep being human. Oh, I don't think I'm better than you. I just have this idea. I don't think I'm better than you. I just like to write. That's what a lot of women go through. That's why a lot of times they'll play dumb. I've seen so many girls do that are really intelligent, but they just understand it's easier getting through life if you're somewhat attractive to be dumb or Just don't, it's not even being dumb. It's just you're not revealing any more than you have to get through life. So, writing everything down, I'm not trying to be a know it all. I'm not trying to show anyone up or anything like that. I like to write. This is how I organize my thoughts. Okay? So, I just don't feel like bearing your soul as a woman like me, being a black woman and being like I am, bearing your soul doesn't really change people's perception of you. So that's why I don't. I like color, I like makeup. I was hit by a vehicle in 2018. I was drug underneath on my back by a four-door pickup truck. When that bumper hit, it was on my neck like that. That wheel could have went over my shoulder. I could have been permanently disabled. And you know what? I was wearing long nails. I had my hair in Bantu knots, but I was wearing makeup. And God still saw fit to save me and restore me fully. I wake up, I have no pain when I wake up. I can still go to the gym, I can still wear heels, I can still dance. My walking, you can't tell I've had any problem when you see me walk. I got all that weight off the 8 months that it took me to where I could walk properly again. And then the additional 4 months, because I couldn't work because I had a job where I was standing, I could not work a full 8-hour shift for 4 months. So it was about a year, of healing. I know what it means to feel pain in my body and be completely restored. So that's one reason why I'm not toning it down. I'm not going to stop with the hair extensions, the makeup, the lipstick. I'm not going to stop, because if God saw fit to save me in that condition, then I didn't need to stop to get his protection. And it isn't my fault if someone else can't find their light, if somebody else can't figure it out. I mean, not my problem. So again, I don't want to keep getting off track. This is again why I write, because I'm going off again. So I had an interaction with the male officer. I explained to him, and then I told him, like, hey, Eve didn't have a job. Abraham didn't have a job. Sarah didn't have a job. Moses didn't have a job. He insisted that I was reading into this wrong and told me to bring up specific chapters and verses. This is something that a lot of people like to do. Well, okay, well, since that's it, then you prove to me the chapter and the verse. If you're not even able to read Eve, this was in the first 2 or 3 chapters of the Bible. It's at the very beginning. Do you understand, to learn about Abraham and Sarah, you're going to have to read more than 10 chapters. You're going to have to read Moses. We've been reading about Moses since Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. I know some of my nails are gone. I've been scrapping with Satan. You should see what he looks like. Okay, no. But you're going to have to read that much to learn about these people. If you're not willing to read 2 or 3 chapters, what am I going to go and give you 4 chapters for, or do the research for you? I explained that to him. And this is something that I don't do. If God is not going to come down and strike you down for using his name in vain, if God is not going to come and strike you down for not believing in him, for not reading the Bible and then trying to argue, if he's not going to do it, why should I do anything? I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to tell you, right? So I could sense, because also when you start reading a lot and you get into a conversation with somebody who doesn't read, you can sense it. Also, as I've said before, God is 100% source. You can get information, because it's like getting close to the sun. You get close to the sun, you'll get warmer and warmer. God is like that. You keep reading about him, you get closer, some information will come off of him. Sometimes it's about people that are watching you. It's several people that are watching me. It's like, I can see you. I don't know I can never prove it. And on top of that, I don't want to, because if I start talking about what God does too much, maybe he won't show me anymore. So I can sense this man isn't really reading, doesn't know about it. And he confirmed it later, right? But I refuse to do his research. I refuse to tell him which chapters to find in, and I refuse to do that. You either have been reading for yourself and you can know, or you don't. So he insisted that the reason why I couldn't provide it is because it wasn't there. And he was very patronizing. He was like, oh, that's okay, love. It's okay, love. Even though we could agree that Eve did not have a job stated in the Bible, he then explained that her life could not be summarized up in 2 or 3 pages. I explained to him, or I pointed out that, well, the Bible summarized her life up in 2 or 3 pages. So you think that that's not enough information to let you know? And he said, no, that's not enough information to determine that she didn't have a job to do. He explained that he attended Sunday school as a child and that he does daily devotionals. He also attends church every Sunday, so he did not need to study the Bible. He really said this to me. He read the sun. He went to Sunday school as a child. Do you understand? Do you see the thickness of this old English style reading book? Deuteronomy 24. That is this much of the book. That's this much. I've been reading this at this for about a year now. It has been a year. Well, a couple of months. I got distracted with some guy. So, and let me tell you how most Christians read, because again, I'm from here. I grew up here. I'm from the South. I grew up here. Most people that say they have read the Bible, they have not read the entire Bible. They have read about this one, about that one. A devotional is an app that gives you daily verses. This isn't something that this just isn't something that you would that's not how you would get to know God and what's in his book, by reading a verse a day. One, it's not even going to be a verse from the same chapter. You're going to get a verse from here, a verse from there. He then insinuated that I was emotional and overwhelmed by the conversation, and perhaps I should speak to a pastor or a trusted person in my life. Okay. What I'm realizing, or what this made me realize, is the problem in Christianity is not the pastor, it is not entertainment, it isn't leaders. The problem are Christians themselves. How dare you say that you read the Bible, which you didn't read the Bible in Sunday school? I've been to Sunday school before, okay? You don't read the Bible at church in any service. I mean, and when you think about it, even though I've been very harsh about the church, right? But church is a lot like a professor instructing a class. There's only so much the instructor can do if the student isn't willing to get into that book themselves. Yes, the teacher, the instructor, yes, they can break it down in bite sizes. Yes, they can show you every single thing. But if all you do is pay attention to the lectures and you never get in your textbook, you're probably going to fail the course. Yes, people don't read the whole textbook, but again, you're talking about God. You're talking about your relationship with God. Why would you not want to get in the Bible and read it? Why instead, you haven't read the Bible since Sunday school. Why wouldn't you just say, you know what? I haven't read it recently as an adult. This man told me he did not need to study because he already went to Sunday school. He goes to church every Sunday. He reads devotionals. That's enough. I was just floored. Maybe because of what I'm doing now. I don't know. The more I get into this, the more I'm interested, because I don't understand what is the world's preoccupation with not wanting to read it. Why wouldn't you want to know what's in it? I guess because of what happened to me, and I just feel like there's been several other times since then. I lived in a neighborhood where there was a really bad shooting, and um, my mom just kept telling me and my sister, like, we need to leave, we need to get out of here, we need to get out of here, we need to get out of here, we need to go to a hotel. I just feel it's really bad. We all three of us took our cars and went to a hotel room. Do you know there was such a drinking and driving, shooting? Someone died in that neighborhood. For some reason, we had enough money right then to go and stay and not have to worry. It's been so many things like that. I know it was God. So I was praying the prayer of protection, Psalms 91. I know the prayer by heart. My mother taught me the prayer. Okay. But the problem in Christianity, the problem why we're not reaching the world is because Christians aren't even interested in God enough. And I'm going to show you some other problems, right? Genesis chapter 6 and 7. Do you think Noah preached 120 years to everyone? Do you think Noah warned anybody before he built the flood? No, he did not. Where did I find that information? From a black woman in a comment section on Instagram that I've never seen before. There's a black woman on there saying, Noah didn't tell anybody about the flood. And you know what I said to myself? This woman is trying to start an argument. I already read this. Do you know I came here and read this? Moses didn't tell anyone. And worst of all, God didn't tell not Moses, I'm sorry, Noah in the ark. God did not tell Noah. He didn't tell Noah to even instruct anybody. He, look here. You might have heard he preached 120 years. No, he didn't. My spirit shall not abide in man. God said that. His days shall be 120 years. Moses didn't preach for that long. That's something that God said. It says, the Lord saw the wickedness of man. You can read this. It's Genesis chapter 6. This is Noah. By chapter 7, that's when the flood starts. So you already know. He saw the wickedness of man. Noah found favor in his eyes. Noah had 3 sons. Earth was corrupt. God said, I've determined to make an end of all flesh. He's already determined to kill everything. You read through here, you read through here, Genesis chapter 6. You'll see that the only people that came out of that flood, 8 people. Noah, his 3 sons, their wives, and his wife. Noah, his wife, his 3 sons and their wives, 8 people. That's all that survived. Again, out of all the people that were on earth, only 8 people were surviving? Let me show you something else. Okay? Genesis chapter 19. Genesis chapter 19. So this is Sodom and Gomorrah. This is when Lot, God sent some angels to save Lot. But before that, we get to Genesis chapter 18, right? And you'll see Abraham had to ask several times, 5 times, starting at 50. Suppose there are 50 righteous. Will you destroy the city for the lack of 50? For the lack of 5, because 5 of the 50 are righteous are lacking. Will you destroy the whole city? He said, no, I won't destroy it if I find 45. And then he just keeps asking God, like, well, okay, well, what about this number for the sake of 40, for the sake of 30? And then he goes, okay, well, if you can find 10 people, will you destroy it for 10 people? And God says, okay, I won't destroy it for 10 people. We go to the next one, Genesis chapter 19, and you see that the only people that were saved were Lot and his 2 daughters. And what makes that so crazy, he's the one that became Uncle Grandpa because he had sex with both of his daughters because he was drunk. And you know what? These 2 sons, these 2 brother cousins, these 2 inbred products, well, these were the 2 people that were the 2 groups of people that tried to fight the Israelites in Numbers chapter 22. So when we look at, what verse is it? We look at Deuteronomy chapter 23. It says to never allow the Moabites and the Ammonites in the congregation. This is because or I don't want to say it's because again, the Bible does not say why. But when you look here, that these two are the start of both of these people, the Moabites and the Ammonites, the start of these people were from inbred circumstances, from Sodom and Gomorrah, from Uncle Grandpa. Lot is also, so these are, Lot is related to Abraham. This is Israel's distant cousin, distant relative. But because they're, I don't want to say, again, not because, but these were born through inbred circumstances. This is kind of like Cain. When we see Cain's lineage in Genesis chapter 4, his lineage just stops. The new lineage that is picked up to continue until Israel is Seth. Again, because Abel's dead. Just wanting to show you, when there's destruction, how many people God can save. Right now it's 3 people, and they end up producing inbred. The first time it was 8 people. Okay, well, let's look here. Exodus chapter 2. God had made a promise with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob / Israel, because that's who he is now, Israel, the descendants of Israel. They didn't ask God for help. God remembered his promise to them, and they cried out for rescue, and the cry came up to God. So God said, you know what? I'm going to do something about this. But he knew that he would have to sort of gain their trust, and I'll explain why later. And so he decides in Exodus chapter 19, first of all, he does the plagues, he delivers them out of Egypt, right? And so in Exodus chapter 19, he's going to go ahead and show Israel who he is. Because finally, he gets to show them that he's their God. He's the God that's been producing all these miracles. He wants to go ahead and show them finally who he is. And when we look here, Exodus chapter 19, verse 16, when he did present himself to Israel, they trembled. They were intimidated. They were scared of him when he wanted to show who he was to them. So then when we look here, Deuteronomy chapter 18, we see again, Moses is referencing this time when they were intimidated. They even said, right now in Deuteronomy chapter 23, this is the second generation of Israel. So the people that were at Mount Horeb, these are their children. But Moses is telling them, yes, now we're talking about Moses. Moses is telling them, your parents said they didn't want to hear God's voice directly anymore because they were terrified of him when he wanted to show who he was. Now, when he was rescuing them, when he was dividing the Red Sea, providing a way out, but then when he wanted to finally show who he was, they were intimidated. So then he gives us his book, and then we don't want to read it because it's too long, it's too much. It's the King James is so annoying. You don't want to take the time. Then we go to Matthew chapter 6. I just seen this right here because I think this is something I need to be aware of too. Beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen, because then you're not going to have no reward. So if your reward is to be seen, if your reward is to be acknowledged here on earth, you're not going to get an acknowledgement in heaven. So sometimes there's comments made about views. You can get on here and make 1,000 views and okay, good. I'm not doing what you're doing though. And this is what I mean. I'm trying not to make the comments, but I want to be aware of this all the time. Then when we look here, Matthew chapter 7, enter by the narrow gate. Jesus is talking in this chapter. He starts actually talking in Matthew chapter 4. This is when he's on the mountain for 40 days, 40 nights. The devil tries to tempt him, and he talks throughout chapter 4, 5, 6, and now we're in 7. Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction. Those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow, the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few. The problem is not, it's not everyone else. It's not this evil corporation. It's not, and we see this reflected also with how we see celebrities, how we see people come to power. We always complain about the role models that we see, the people that we see pushed in the forefront of our society. You complain about these rappers, you complain about these performers, but how would they get there without support? We don't really want things to change, like talking about it. Even the whole colorism conversation, when, not trying to be mean, but there was a whole lot of people making comments and videos about Cleopatra, but when I looked at those numbers, where's the support? I'll even give you one better. What's that girl's name? Is it Jessica Alford? Yeah, Jessica Alford. She was making gorgeous lifestyle content where she's just a woman, she's presenting herself in high class environments. She's married to a black man, beautiful black children. She got on Instagram. She was talking about how hard it was for her to have her career because she's getting bullied so badly online. And these are the same people. I'm not saying her, but for people to say they have a problem with this colorism, they have that, it's colorism, it's colorism. Well, are you supporting to make sure this doesn't happen? Because if you're not supporting, what do you think is supposed to happen to these people? This just really hurt my feelings a lot because I'm realizing that even the Christians don't even have an interest in seeing God the way that he's supposed to. And that's the reason. It isn't everything else. Because if we wanted it bad enough, just like Muslims do, if just like the Amish do, we would find a way. And it just really bothered me that a man who said he was a Christian man told me he only to study the Bible. So, yeah. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe. But I understand, I just have so much of a better understanding now about what this channel is and why. So, thank you so much for clicking on the video. I love you. And I'll be uploading in just a moment.